Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming online today and joining us for the webinar. In the spirit of reconciliation, Windsor Group acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Following on from our webinar last month about resume writing, today's session is all about presenting an interview. So you've landed the interview, how do you prepare and what to do? This will cover whether it's with a recruiter or an organisation. We do have a Q&A session after Mike's presentation, so feel free to throw your questions in the chat box as we're talking and we'll answer those in the session. It is my pleasure to welcome our speaker today, Mike Conroy. Mike is one of our executive consultants here at Windsor Group. Mike is someone for whom rapport comes so effortlessly. He is an experienced operational manager with excellent HR skills. Mike has also been North Lakes Toastmaster of the Year for 2020 to 2021. So we couldn't think of someone better to help us today to prepare for presenting an interview. I'll hand over to you now, Mike.
Well, thank you, Amy, for your kind words, and welcome to you all and to our next instalment of our Candidate Care series, Presenting an Interview. And when it comes to the interview, presentation is paramount. The interview is the most valuable opportunity you have to shine and build a connection with the organisation. You get to showcase the best of you. It's important to understand, securing an interview, you would have already developed a compelling cover letter and an effective resume, which has prompted the company to engage with you. You have invested time and effort to get yourself this far. And these last few steps in preparing for the interview are a lot like the icing on the cake, the finishing touches. So preparing for the interview, again, you would have already gone through your familiarisation with the company, but go back over it again. Make sure you check out the website of the organisation and also their social media feeds and recent posts. Check that you're across the purpose of the organisation and the vision and values of the organisation. Making sure you're familiar will help you when it comes to the interview. Again, also review the advertisement that you responded to and write out a number of ways that your skills and experience align with the needs of what they posed in the advertisement. This is really important in getting yourself ready. You've written your resume, and you should know your resume inside out. Be ready to answer the tell me about questions, which are going to be asked at the interview for you. When you turn up to the interview, your appearance is paramount. And this is your appearance both physical and also online. Check your online public profile and make sure it's consistent with the image of the organisation. A picture of you surfing in a shopping trolley down a local street might not be appropriate. Check the character you wish to display is consistent across the platforms and meets what the organisation would be expecting. Remember, as much as you research an organisation is going to research you. It's also a really good opportunity to look at your LinkedIn profile and your LinkedIn page and make sure that this is in line with the resume that you have submitted. Your online appearance is important, but your physical appearance is also important. Make sure you dress corporately and confidently, but make sure you feel comfortable. Looking your best has a powerful impact on how you present. And as we always know, first impressions are made within seconds of meeting someone. So smile, look engaged, look enthusiastic, look people in the eyes, offer or receive a handshake. You need to be engaged from the outset. When you arrive at your interview, if it's in person, make sure you plan your journey ahead and give yourself time for the unexpected. You want to make sure that you arrive at your interview in a calm and composed manner. Being flustered and stressed is not going to suit you well when you sit down for the interview. Arriving approximately 5 to 10 minutes ahead of time is appropriate. It will give you time to relax, to gather your thoughts, and also to breathe. And that's really important, so that when you sit down for the interview, you're calm and composed. If your interview is online, test your equipment and test it again. Make sure you get this set up ahead of time. Make sure the camera is working and your microphone is working. Check the setting that you have placed yourself and make sure that it's appropriate. Ensure the background is clear and no clutter. And make sure you set yourself up in a space where you're going to receive minimal interruptions. This is really important. And when you are having your interview online, try to speak to the camera. Now, I know this is really challenging. It's challenging for all of us. We want to engage with faces and with people. And online meetings, you want to look at the screen. Unfortunately, the camera is not in the middle of the screen. It's usually at the top of the computer. So you need to talk to the camera. When you do this, you are engaging with all the eyes in the room all at once. So it's a skill that takes practice, but believe me, pays off in the long run. When you arrive at your interview, make sure you introduce yourself clearly, acknowledging who you're there to meet with, what time your meeting is, and the reason for your appointment. Remember, be pleasant and polite. The minute you step into an organisation, you are being interviewed, whether that's by the receptionist or whoever answers the door. Their take on how you present will be conveyed throughout the organisation. So be polite, be professional, and engage with people talking to their eyes. This is really important. When you're in the interview room, listen carefully. It's important that you take in the questions that have been posed and you're engaged with the person asking the questions. It's okay if you don't understand the question to ask for it to be rephrased or restated. That's fine. When you come to answering the question though, make sure you talk to everybody in the room, not just the person that has asked the question. When you're responding, it's important to maintain clarity. Speak slowly and clearly in response to the question. Again, it's fine to take a pause and gather your thoughts before you respond, and talk with enthusiasm. If you're talking about your proudest moment, this should be easy to do. When you are answering your questions and responding in general at an interview, try to eliminate the ums and ahs from your response, because they will really detract from the message that you're trying to convey. And believe me, when you replace an and an ah with a pause or a space, you really add to the impact of what you are saying. People are waiting to hear your response, waiting to hear your answer. That anticipation you build with a pause adds incredible value. At the end of your interview, it's okay to ask, what are the next steps? What's the timeline? What are the expectations? When would you expect an answer? Is there feedback? Can you receive feedback? These are questions that you can ask at the end of the interview. And be polite and graceful. Make sure you thank the interviewer or interviewees for their time and show your appreciation for the opportunity to present. A nice touch at the end of an interview, once you have come away from the organisation, is to drop a quick email again, thanking the interviewer for their time, and also maybe clarifying a couple of points that have come out of the interview. This adds a level of professionalism to your approach, and believe you me, it doesn't go unnoticed. So here are some top tips for you to take away today. One that probably goes without saying, make sure your phones are switched off and out of sight. You don't want any distractions when you're sitting in the interview. You want to be fully engaged with those around you. When it comes to talking about a past employer or past career experience, keep it positive. And there's always something positive that you can say. Whether it's just to confirm that the last role really showed what was missing and what you need from your current role, there's always something positive to find. Keep both feet on the floor and your hands clear. It's okay to utilize your hand or hand gestures if you feel comfortable to do so, but don't overdo it. A few hand gestures here and there are fine. Remain still and engaged when you are receiving the question. Look directly at the interviewer's eyes so that they really understand that you are listening to what is being said. And speak to your achievements. Speak to what you've done. What are you most proud of? When you do this, you are going to be so animated and enthusiastic that it is only going to bring people in the room along with the journey. And they're really going to notice you. You will stand out. A simple checklist for you to take away from today. Be prepared, be positive, and be practiced. When you do these things, you will be confident in yourself and you'll be true to yourself. You will be the best you can be. Remember the saying goes, prior planning prevents poor performance, and no one can ask for more than that.
Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing your tips with us. We've had a few questions come through, so we'll jump into that now. One of the questions that we've been asked is, as recruiters, what are we seeing as the most common things that candidates are seeking from their new employer?
Yeah, that's a great question, Amy. Thank you. Look, there are a number of things, and we get a myriad of questions coming from candidates around what they're seeking in their new employer. I guess the things that really stand out, particularly at the moment, having come through COVID, is the flexible arrangement, the flexible working arrangements. Are there, hybrid working models that the organisation has available? The other thing I guess people are looking for is that supportive, caring, collegial environment. People like to be part of a team. They want to be involved in something that's bigger than themselves. So look, one of the questions is around that environment. Is it a supportive environment? Honesty and integrity is one that always comes through as well. Does the company live up to the values that they state in their mission statement? I know we've probably seen many companies have their mission statement emblazoned above their door, but once you get behind the door, it's long forgotten. So that honesty and integrity, is that really lived by the organisation? And is it a collaborative working environment? Are people that are involved in this organisation, is it a team environment? Do they help out? Do people get involved? Do people check in? What's the culture like? So I guess they're probably the top 4 questions that we get from most candidates around the organisation that they're moving into. And look, everybody wants to get into an organisation where they feel valued, and I guess these questions highlight that.
Thank you, Mike. Another question. So as an interviewee, what can I ask the panel or the interviewer to determine if the role is right for me, but without causing offence?
Yeah, look, that's a great question, isn't it? I guess really to determine these questions, what you want to ask, you've got to be clear in your own mind as to what you need in the role to start with. What are you looking for? What do you need to thrive? I guess to help you answer these questions, ask yourself, where have you found the most enjoyment in your past role? And when you find this out, these will help you develop the questions you want to ask. You know, is there opportunity for progression within an organisation? You might have found that roles that you've had before, it's the progression that you've really enjoyed, the fact that you've been able to go on a journey with that organisation. So definitely, is there an opportunity for progression? You might be somebody that in past roles has found great enjoyment in creativity, being able to solve a puzzle, solve a problem, come up with a solution. So, you know, what are the creative elements of the role? Do they exist? Again, you might find that the roles that you've been in, you've really enjoyed working as part of a team to come together with a solution. So being able to contribute in that team environment and work on a project that has been significant to an organisation, that may be something that you're really proud of. So again, is there a collaborative team approach to projects? You might find that within past roles, you've enjoyed the fact that you have entered at one point and left at another point, but have improved over that time through a professional development program. So you can ask, what are the professional development opportunities available for me? Again, in developing these questions, you really need to think about what it is you're looking for. And again, as I say, looking at where you have thrived, where you've found your greatest enjoyment, that will help you to develop and pose those questions. In saying that, look, you can also ask, you know, what are the challenges for this organisation? What are the difficulties within the organisation? So you get a feel for what you're moving into. You can also ask, you know, why has this position become available? Is it a new position? Has there been an internal promotion? All these things will help you have a better understanding. So look, there's a few ideas to begin with.
Thank you, Mike. A question around salary, and I think I'll preface this with saying when you meet an interview with a recruiter, absolutely, you can talk about the money, that's okay. The question we did get was around, is it appropriate to ask about salary at the first interview?
Yeah, Amy, look, I think it is, because sometimes it may be the only time you have within an interview. But I say, if you want to ask about salary, you've got to be prepared to disclose what it is you're seeking, and also what your current remuneration is. So you need to be prepared on the other side. So what are you looking for in terms of your remuneration? And look, that remuneration may not be primarily a financial remuneration. You may be looking at, again, as we've said, the hybrid working model, or is there opportunities for professional development? What does the professional development budget look like? Travel, other reimbursements. So there are things that you can discuss, but you need to be well prepared again for asking that question, and that there will be questions asked of you around what you're seeking.
Absolutely, thank you, Mike. Another question we've had is, what is your advice around a confident posture? So when in an interview situation, how do we portray our confidence through our posture?
Absolutely. And that comes down to the confidence side of things. You want to portray a feeling of confidence and competence, that you know the job at hand and you're competent at performing that job. So sitting in your chair, sitting with your back straight and your feet on the ground, with your hands clear, and again, talking to the individual. So talking to the eyes. And again, sometimes these interviews that you go into, there'll be more than one person in the room. So engage with everybody. So talk to the eyes of everybody in the room, having that positive stance where you're sitting straight with your feet on the ground. You'll also be able to compose your responses accordingly. Again, taking time in your response is really important. Don't feel you have to rush, but give yourself time to respond. And I guess, look, one trick you could use here, often at interviews, you'll be offered a glass of water. Take that opportunity and have a sip of water as, if anything, a moment to help you gather your thoughts before you respond. And then talk to the room. Try not to talk to a corner or avoid eye contact. Make that eye contact. Be confident about what you're talking about and what you're saying. And again, as I say, if you're talking about your proudest moment and what you've achieved, that'll be simple to do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. I don't think we've had any more questions come through today. So I guess on that note, we will wrap up today's session. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon for this session. We do have another candidate care webinar coming up in August, so please keep an eye out for that, and we look forward to seeing you at upcoming events.
Thanks, Amy, and have a great day.